Hello, friends. So let's look at the deep dive of middleware, how we can use middleware to make our code more efficient, more optimize our code. Um, so this is a RESTful API that we have. So if I run this, it will show the list of capitals given a country name. So here is a list of, yeah. So when we run this API, it loads a few endpoints. So if you provide a country like this, it will return the information about the country. However, if you put a invalid, incorrect country, for example, this, so it throws an exception because this country is not recognized. And then, lo and behold, you get a full load of exception stack trace. And, it's so difficult to analyze this. You have to go through to analyze, you have to go through. It's not very, first of all, it's not very user friendly. The message that we need is here, but it propagates from deep down here. You have to understand all that. So when this sort of error message is displayed to the end user, they are going to be pretty much taken aback. So it's not very graceful. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so how do we make it more efficient? So for that purpose, we have middleware. And what middleware can do is centralize our exception handling, centralize our exception so that anywhere in any endpoint, if you have an exception, it will, or any type of exception, it will be uh, displayed in a graceful manner uh, in the UI or in the API response. So for that, what we do is we have to introduce a middleware. So we can created a folder called middleware in this project, and here we can add a class, a simple class. Let's call it exception handling middleware. Okay, okay. So and public class. All we have to do here is introduce one private variable, read-only type. It's of type called request delegate, and call it request. No, call it next request. Yeah, okay. We have a constructor, declare a constructor, and into this we pass a type request delegate. So the convention in middleware is that we use the keyword next or next request so that it indicates that the control, the processing, has gone to the next middleware in the pipeline. Okay, so we set our private variable to the incoming variable. Okay. Next, we have to create a invoke method. This is a task, so we call it async. And into this, we have to pass the context object, HTTP context object. We got the spelling right? Okay. Yeah. All it does here is the request delegate that we declared here, copy it. It will invoke the it will invoke the next item in the context pipeline, HTTP context pipeline. So we call that, and because it is inside an async task method, so we have to await it for asynchronous. So around this, we have to create a try catch block. So if I were to move this line inside the try block, and that's pretty much it. And then we have the exception here. The exception can be captured here. Um, ex dot message. But this only handles one type of exceptions. We can, what we need is what if there is different types of exceptions propagating inside the code base, inside the pipeline. So a better option would be that we create a method which will handle different types of exceptions. So for that, we can write await, because it's a async method, okay? We can write something like create a method, basically, exception sync, because and into that we can pass the context, and we also pass the exception so that we can handle it outside. Something looks okay. So we have a method here which we have which will handle the context and the exceptions. So this is only for handling different types of exceptions. So as you can see, if we set a default code, we default error string message, which is empty, and we handle 3 different types of exceptions. We set the code, and we set the error message, and the context object that we are getting, passing into this method, we can set the content type, the status code, and then we can set it instantiate and serialize it. And this is basically writing the error message uh, onto the output. So that's all to it. You can have this method or not have this method or handle it differently. But the main thing here is creating the invoke method and this pattern. Edit. HTTP context is a very powerful class in the .NET world, because with that we can identify the response, we can identify the request, we can identify the headers, we can even modify and manipulate it also. So how do we use this? So we use this by in the program.cs file. And as I said in the previous video, all we have to do to invoke middleware is the convention is to write app.use middleware, and in that you have to specify in the angle brackets your middleware class exception. Uh, uh, Exception handling middleware, and that's it. So let's see if our program builds. Okay. It builds all right. Let's see if it runs okay. Runs okay. Let's refresh it. Okay. And let's try the earlier endpoint. So we passed. So there's the happy path testing. Yeah, brilliant. And then type some wrong country and see what happens. Exception is generated. Continue. And when we look outside, so this is a very, very graceful error message, which is nicely handled. And this can be given to the client. This can be passed to the client or the calling program or other API which are calling it. And then easily it can be read and serialized or deserialized. Yeah, so that is the power of middlewares and how it can centralize and centralize the exception handlings in your program. So that's all I wanted to share with you all, guys. Thank you